Whew, gotta get myself somewhat ready. I don't know. Fix my hair just a little bit, y'all. Come on. Okay. Whoop. It's not exactly how I want it. Phew. It kind of does its own thing anymore. Jeez. Well, hello, everyone. This is Cassandra Williamson coming to you from a holler in eastern Kentucky in the Hardy, Kentucky area, Pike County, right near the Tug River. And I'm going to continue on a theme that I'd started over the weekend. Whenever I read a Facebook post by my friend Bree Fram, Colonel Bree Fram, who is in the Space Force, a space scientist. She and many other trans service members are being discharged from the military. And she posted something on Saturday talking about a couple other days prior to that, where she attended a retirement ceremony for Trey Worth, Captain Trey Worth of the Coast Guard. All right, so this ceremony was actually just an absolute disgrace. First thing is, ordinarily, when someone retires from the military, they are allowed to and authorized to wear their uniform during that retirement ceremony. But in all of the loving goodness that we have from Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, they were told that they could not wear their uniform unless they wore the uniform of their sex assigned at birth. It matched that. Now, these people have been serving in the capacity of one of this, but this person's a captain, an 06 in the Coast Guard, and Colonel Bree Fram is an 06 in the Space Force. So it's disgusting to me that you would force them to wear a uniform that does not match who they are. The only way they could actually retire then was to put the uniform beside them and stand it there, and they were required to be in civilian uniforms. If they chose to wear that uniform that actually represents who they are, then they could have been discharged under other than honorable conditions, and all of their benefits would have been stopped, and all of their care, everything would have been terminated, because this administration thinks that these people are not worthy. But in all reality, these people are. Trey Worth, Bree Fram, these people have these fantastic human beings. One's a space scientist, the other worked at the Pentagon, the other one, captain in the Coast Guard, all highly respected within their fields and outside of the fields as well. Numerous awards and ribbons and medals and stuff for all the stuff that they have done over the 20 plus years they have served in the military. But yet, this administration said that the only way they could wear a uniform for their retirement ceremony was if it matched their sex assigned at birth. That's an insult. That's a slap in the face. So the only option these people have, one, is stand there in their civilian uniforms with their uniform beside them on a post, because these people who think they know the best for the country are telling them, no, you can't do that. Even though they have served honorably, they've done everything right in their whole careers, and yet they're being dismissed. But here's the other catcher to this. This is the biggest part about it, too. Their discharge papers. Even if they follow the rules actually and not wear a uniform, they're still going to be discharged with an honorable discharge on their DD-214, but it will have a little designation down there. I think it's in box 23 or 24, somewhere down in the bottom, a little designator that will tell any employer, anyone in federal government, that these people are a national security risk for every trans person that is discharged from the military under this administration. That, folks, is a lie. These people have had security clearances their entire military career. They've done things, they know stuff. They've never been a threat to national security. Never. Not once. So it is a lie from Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump to have that put on their DD 214, declaring them to be a national security risk. Just a flat out lie, folks. That's not the truth at all. You know what the real truth is? They couldn't put what they wanted to say on there. And we don't like trans people, we're bigots and assholes. That's really what they should have put on there, because that'd be the truth then. But no, they lied about it. Call these people unfit to serve and a national security risk. And they, by doing that, any business or any employment that would require security clearance, that would require, you know, if they went to work, try to work for the federal government, which I dare say most of these people will not ever work for the federal government again because they don't want to. Who would want to work under that unless it was welcoming again, right? But they have been discharged with that little designator on their DD 214. And it is asinine. It's asinine. These people are honorable people. They have served with distinction in most cases. They've been awarded repeatedly. They've made rank over 20 plus years, and you want to discharge them with an honorable discharge, which is good, but with a designator that is cause them a national security risk, so they can't get employment in anywhere that requires security clearance. Well, you know, Andrew Jackson once said that he actually did this. If he had a disagreement with someone, you know what he did? He was an old brawler from way back, from Hermitage, Tennessee. Okay, that's where his place was at, Andrew Jackson. He was a brawler. He would say, well, we disagree. Let's go around back here and see if we can, whoever wins the fight can take it. Well, I know two people who actually need to have their head hit a couple of times, but look, I'm not telling you to be violent against anyone. It's just that this is so crazy. I'm not telling you to do anything to threaten any of these people because they will put you in jail. That's just as clear as it can be about it. And rightly so. If you're going to threaten violence on them, then you have every reason to expect to be arrested. But metaphorically speaking, oh my God, they need to have an adjustment. These people, these friends of mine, I don't know Trey Worth, Captain Worth. I don't know Trey, but I do know Bree Framp, and I do know others. I do know people, a commander who was a fighter pilot being kicked out. Fighter pilot, highly trained, skilled, running. Actually, geez, I'm just so flabbergasted at this. And then to have the gall to put on there that they're a national security risk. No, they're not. You're just a bunch of lying buttholes. That's all it is. Trying to cover yourself. Now, here's the thing, though, and this is the thing that I want you to get from this, because I did talk about this in an email I sent out this morning. If you got it, great. If you didn't, go over here and read the blog post, okay, to this website that's going across the bottom, www.cassandra-llc.com. Go there, read the recent blogs that I put up, and I'll talk more in depth about these things. But this particular thing, by using this descriptor, this description to call these people less than honorable, is that by saying that they're a national security risk, it is not something new that our American federal government has done. You know, the last time that was done in a big way was in the 1950s under what was called the Lavender Scare, you know, McCarthy period of time, Joseph Camp period of time, all of that. The federal government decided that, I mean, there were about 20,000 or so federal employees who happened to be gay or lesbian or whatever. And they decided that they were a national security risk, even though they were not. But they just wanted them out because they had the same problems back then. I mean, they still had small minds and really insecure in their own identity. I'm talking about the people who issued these things. That's what it amounts to. They're insecure. They're insecure in their masculinity or their femininity. They're insecure in it so much to the point that they will go after anyone who even comes close to challenging their view of what it should be. That's insecurity. You really think that's worthy of being a leader of this country? Well, they did it in the 50s. They kicked all these people out because they were national security risk. You know what else is going on in the 50s? At the time, obviously, the Korean War was going on, and we were testing nuclear bombs over everywhere, from White Sands and New Mexico all the way to the Philippine Islands, the Bikini Atoll, and different ones out there in the Philippines. We were testing atomic bombs all over the place. My dad was part of that, Operation Red Wing. But that's a side note, trivia stuff. But anyway, you know, the Korean War is going on. Also, it was during the 50s, the late 40s, early 50s, where Alan Turing, who was identified as being a gay man, was put through electroshock therapy to try to electrocute being gay out of him. You can't do that. That you cannot. This is an innate characteristic. If anything at all proves this to you, after the electroshock therapy, Alan was still gay. After any conversion therapy, these people are still gay or lesbian or trans or non-binary or bisexual or whatever. You can't, those things don't work. They cause more harm than good. Who's Alan Turing? Oh, well, let me see. Big time computer person. Actually, one of the founding persons who started writing all of the code, writing the initial mathematics that got to the computer systems today that we have today. But also he was the person who broke the Enigma code that the Germans were using in World War II. He's the one who broke that. But yet he was gay. And that disqualified him from anything else, apparently, because these people are just so insecure in their identities. Whether it's straight or Christian or Muslim or Catholic or whatever their identity is, they're insecure in it. So they want to challenge everybody else. They want to take them on and threaten them. Oh my gosh, come on, people. Phew. Yes, that pisses me off in a big way that we're doing this, that this administration is doing this to our service members who have served honorably, been awarded and received many medals and plaques and letters of recommendation and commendation all over the place. I mean, these people are highly decorated service members. But they're kicking them out with that designation of a national security risk. If you're looking for some place for me to point out where they're lying, where this administration lies and tries to get you to believe something that is a falsehood, this is it. Secretary Hegseth, President Trump, they want them out of the service and they are willing to lie about it to get them out. They call them a threat to national security. It's on the DD-214s when they're discharged. They're telling them that if you are retiring from the military and you've got 20 plus years in or whatever you're doing to retire, that you can only retire in the uniform that matches your sex assigned at birth. And that is such a cruel thing to say to someone who has been living their lives authentically for so long now that all they can do is stand there in their civilian uniform to retire with the uniform that they actually fit into and that actually represents them. Can't be worn as standing beside them. That should piss every American off in this country. Everyone. The lie that goes on the DD-214, forcing the retirees who are trans to stand there in civilian uniform and not have the option to wear the uniform that matches who they are, and you telling them that they can only do it in the uniform that matches their sex assigned at birth, or you will discharge them as other than honorable or dishonorable, or you'll kick them out in some way and you'll go after their benefits and everything else after that. It's cruelty, folks. That's all it is. This administration, and the thing is, they did it in Pride Month. They started it in Pride Month. That was Captain Trey Worth of the Coast Guard. Bree Frams will be later. Colonel Fram will be later in the year when the retirement ceremony occurs. And she will have to do the same thing. It's disgusting. It should piss off everyone and who's listening to my voice and who know about this thing, who know about it. And it should rile you up so much that you actually are willing to reach out to your representatives, congressional representatives, and give them a strongly worded letter that says something like, stop this, fix those DD-214s for these people. They have served honorably. They are not a security risk. Take that designator off that piece of paper. You're harming their livelihoods and their families' well-being for the foreseeable future. Write to your senators. Most of them today are not going to respond back to you, especially if they're from a red district or they're or they are conservatives or Republicans. They're not going to respond back to that with any kind of thing acknowledging the problem and then trying to fix it for you. They're not going to fix it, especially if they're Republicans or conservatives. Why do I say that? Well, look, Senator Tillis from North Carolina this past weekend voted against taking the big ugly bill out for a vote on the floor, for debate on the floor. He voted against doing that. Immediately, this administration, the White House and Trump, all went after him like crazy, saying they're going to primary him and get him out and all of that. So you know what Senator Tillis had to do? He knows the writing on the wall. He knows the power that's behind these people right now. And so he has said and acknowledged that he is not going to run for re-election the next time around. These people are scary, stupid, folks. Scary, stupid. They're in positions of power. They're ideologically driven. Everything they're doing is ideologically driven. They're telling you that they want to have a meritocracy kind of government and a meritocracy type of military, but in everything they're doing, they have an ideological bent to it or a Christian nationalist bent to it. And Kevin Roberts at the Heritage Foundation, he's jumping up and down with joy over here probably, because what he sees is, we're doing it. We're doing the whole Project 2025 on steroids with this administration. And they came in here and they went so fast and they broke things and changed it all. But that's what they wanted. Yeah, it pisses me off. So this evening on the show, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about some of this, but not entirely for the whole program. I will be talking about some of these organizations out here. I see all kinds of people who are talking about, like J.D. Haldegan over on Fox, not on Fox, but on Twitter, talking about different things. I see different doctors over there who have got the title doctor in front of their name or behind it. And they're talking about how gender identity is not real, that trans people aren't real. They're moving from the kids now really rapidly. They're going after everybody else. All the rest of us, they're going after them too. They're saying that this trans identity stuff is fake. Well, look, I acknowledge that there is a dearth of good research to support a lot of different things. There's a lot of good research out there, but it will never be accepted. What we have are silos. One of the letters that I wrote this morning, one of the things that's happening, we got silos that say that this is the only right way, and the other one says this is the only right way. But if you want to have success moving forward with any kind of research, whether you believe this side or believe that side, we've got to start doing what I'm calling adversarial collaboration. You bring in people who disagree with you, and you sit them down and you design together collaboratively a research process methodology so that each of you can have your questions answered, and what you perceive as bias you can address, and what the other side sees as bias you can address too. But we've got to do this now. We've got to stop living and listening inside the silo that we live in. You've got to reach across the border and say, and the border, I mean, let me see if I can pull up one of these things from what I'm talking about. I'll show you. I have an image of this. Where are my images located? Oh, right there. That's a good enough one. Well, let's do this one. All right. So right now there's an image popping up on your screen. You see that? There's two silos, American flag out front. They're still Americans. They're still in the same field. Basically, they're still in the same ballpark. But inside each silo, you've got people who believe one way and the other one believes the other. And you'll notice there are no connecting towers. There are no connecting belts, or conveyors, or anything connecting those two towers, except for the land underneath them, except for the nation that has created these two silos. That's what I want to talk about tonight. We've got to find a way to break down some of these barriers and get the gatekeepers out of the way so that we can have a rational conversation about the science of who we are. Some people in my community, in this trans community, will object like crazy for me to say that I want to know where I come from. How did I get here? I know it's not a psychological thing. I know that. But yet, the other side thinks it is. So we have got to find a way to talk to each other in a way that's respectful, and no one get all of their little badges on their sleeves all up in a roar, okay? All hurt, and butt hurt, and all that kind of stuff. All your emotions all butt hurt. We've got to figure out a way to start talking past the silos that we exist in. And that's what I want to talk about tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Standard or Eastern Daylight Time, I think it is. And with that, from the holler, this is Cassandra Williamson. Make sure you go to the website right there and read up on the blogs. Check it out. Share them. Let everybody know. Have a great